everyone, Melissa here from Sweet Melissa's in Ithaca, New York, and I am here to show you how to make my cinnamon rolls. I make these cinnamon rolls every Saturday for Cinnamon Roll Saturday, and now you can make them. So this is exactly how I do it. It's a 3-day process. You can totally do it in about 2 days, but I really like chilling the dough overnight, at least the first night. I think it's a lot easier to roll out, and it kind of gets the dough a little bit fermenty and tastes really good. So here we go. To start, you're going to need 6 tablespoons of butter, and you're going to want to get that melted. You want to let that cool off a little before you add in everything else. Now in your stand mixer bowl, add 20 ounces of flour. It can just be all-purpose flour. I like to keep things simple, so usually people have all-purpose flour on hand, as well as white sugar. Add 3 ounces of that. And obviously you're going to want to add some salt, just a nice healthy size pinch there. Okay, so my butter was super hot, so I tried to get it to cool off by putting it in the milk. It wasn't the best idea, so you can kind of ignore that, and I'll tell you what happens later. Here I'm adding my 3 eggs and 1 egg yolk to my lovely mix. At this point, add in your instant yeast. You will definitely want instant yeast, not dry active yeast, so you can just add it directly to your flour mixture instead of having to bloom it beforehand. Now that all of your dry ingredients are in your bowl, you can go ahead and put on your dough hook and start adding in your milk and your butter. So since my butter kind of chilled out a little in that milk, it got a little bit clumpy, but that is totally fine. You can even add softened butter. It'll just take a little bit longer to mix. So that kind of zoomed through, but you're going to want to go ahead and mix your dough for about 10 minutes. That was literally like 7.7 seconds, but it was about 10 minutes. Then after those 10 minutes, which didn't show at all, you go ahead and put it in a lightly greased bowl, pat it around, give it a little kiss, and put it to bed. You're all done with day 1. Go ahead and get that wrapped up and put it in your fridge. You definitely want to put a covering on it so it doesn't dry out. Then we're ready for tomorrow. Welcome to day 2, and now I'm going to get the dough out of the fridge and see how beautiful it looks. Look at this baby. Look how big it got. This is why I love yeasted doughs. It just amazes me. But now let's start filling it up and rolling it out. For the filling, you're going to want 5 ounces of brown sugar and 6 tablespoons of very, very soft butter and a nice pinch of salt. You want the inside to be a little bit salty as well. Go ahead and start mixing that up. If you want to microwave it for 10-second blasts, you can go ahead and do that to get the butter even more soft. You want to get this nice and soft and gooey because you're going to spread this onto your dough in just a second. Start by flouring your work surface. You want to get a nice amount of flour on there, and then you can have your chilled dough put right on there, and you're going to want to flour your dough as well so it doesn't stick to your rolling pin. Your objective here is to make this dough a nice size rectangle. I honestly have no idea what the measurements are. I always eyeball it. And you're going to want it as squared up as possible. That's probably the most important part, is making sure those edges are squared off. You don't want a big circle piece, otherwise you're going to have very mismatched cinnamon rolls. So basically just roll it out into a nice rectangle shape as best as possible, and you want to get the thickness as uniform as possible. When you're happy with the size of rectangle you've gotten to, you can now add on that yummy, yummy sugar mixture that you had already made up and just start spreading that in a nice even layer on the whole surface of the dough. Now it's time to add the main ingredient, cinnamon itself. I don't have a measurement for the cinnamon because all I have ever done is just sprinkled a nice layer over top the brown sugar mixture. And voila, look at that goodness. Let's start rolling this baby up. So I turned it a little bit here so that you could see the edges, and you're going to want to do a nice tight roll. So go from side to side as slowly as you're comfortable with and just start curling it under until the whole thing is rolly rolled all the way. Look how cute that little log is. So this roll makes 12 rolls, so I went ahead and greased 2 pans. You could put all 12 rolls in this 9x13 pan, but I like them to be able to expand a little bit more. You can go ahead and do it, it'll just take a little bit longer to bake. So you're going to want to cut the whole roll in half and then cut those halves into halves again. And I'm obviously terrible at eyeballing. So then cut those quarters into thirds and you will then have 12 rolls that are kind of uniform, but mine never are. Hopefully you do better than me though. I do maintain that them not being totally perfect just gives them that little homemade flair. So go ahead and I put 8 rolls into this 9x13 pan and spaced them out nicely so they have room to expand. And I made a little 4-pack, as I do for the shops for my pre-made 4-packs. And look how beautiful they are! At this point you could be totally done with day 2. You can saran wrap them, put them in the fridge, and they will be all ready to bake in the morning for your 3rd day. If you can't wait though, like I couldn't here, just cover them up and let them sit on your counter for about an hour and look at how puffy they look. About a half an hour into that hour, preheat your oven at 350, and when that hour is done, just pop them in the oven for about 20 to 30 minutes depending on your oven. Mine took about 20 minutes here. While your rolls are baking, you can go ahead and make the frosting, which is some of your favorite part. Take a half a stick of cream cheese, and you're going to want to beat that up really, really well. So if you want to have that sitting out to get soft for a while, you can do that, or you can just beat the crap out of it in your mixer. When it's nice and fluffy and a little bit airy, you're going to add a half a stick of butter, and again, let that be very soft. You're going to really, really want these two ingredients to incorporate well together. You don't want big clumps of cream cheese. It drives me nuts when I can't get those clumps out. So this is your opportunity to scrape down your bowl and really get those two ingredients mixed really well together. When your butter and cream cheese are nice and mixed up, go ahead and add 2 cups of powdered sugar, 1 cup at a time, and start slow. One of my kids, he was here helping me. You can see what happens if you do not start slow. It'll blow up all over the place, but we had a good laugh about that. With a good pinch of salt, don't forget the salt, and let that whip up for a couple minutes until it looks like this, nice and smooth and delicious. Here is my favorite part, when the rolls come out of the oven. So you're looking for this beautiful golden brown color, and seriously, look how good those look. I was obviously very impressed with myself, even though I do this all the time. While they're still hot, you're going to want to get that frosting that you just made and start putting that on one at a time, just a little bit to let it start gooing down into the rolls. And then you can start spreading it out as it melts a little bit onto the rolls. If you don't want your frosting to be this thick, you can go ahead and add a little bit of milk. I would say a tablespoon at a time when you're making your frosting, and it'll be more like a glaze that you can pour over your rolls, but that is totally up to you.
Look how gorgeous they are. So proud. You guys did so good. All right, now I guess it's just time to eat them. I'm gonna go ahead and use my frosting spatula to get one of you guys out. Let's go with this one. What's that? Oh my god. Look at that. Yes, I'm licking my fingers, and no, I don't do that at my shop or have really long hair. Look at how beautiful this bottom is, nice and golden. It's already been kind of soggying up all the goodness. The frosting is what I'm talking about. And I'm not gonna lie, I think this is my best batch ever. You guys have to make them. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Look at these. They're beautiful.